But yeah, like, fuck, I've now lost the train of thought I had. God damn it.
Yeah, well, we were talking about artists keeping their stuff separate and whatnot, and how you're identified by your fetish and whatnot. I mean, not all people are, obviously, and some people are very... I mean, they're identified by not having one. Yeah. So, there's that.
Well, I'm of the belief that everyone has their weirdly specific thing. And if you think you don't have a weirdly specific thing, you either do have a thing you don't think is very weird, welcome to how most of us think, or one day you're gonna get a boner and you don't know why.
Yes. Or you're just completely asexual, but even then you still get weirdly specific things, you just have a fascination with them and it's not a fetish.
Yeah.
That happens too.
Like, I had an asexual friend who, the closest thing to sexual arousal they ever felt was the idea of eating clock parts.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You mean like this owl?
Oh yeah, they would probably go to town on that.
Depict a shadowy owl-like figure, which looks very similar to the police images of the mysterious clockwork. Is this a strange coincidence, or is there something I'm missing?
Strange coincidence, that's all.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is an interesting fascination.
Yeah. There's that person's an interesting person to know. We may or may not have them on the show at some point, depending on how well they record. But yeah, it's interesting. That person has a life. That person has stories to tell.
Okay.
But we'll save that for later.
Yeah.
I forgot that this game had a turret section in it.
Yep.
So, let's actually talk about this game now that we're nearly done with it.
Okay.
So these are the things I noticed about this game. It had a lot of the same gameplay elements up until, like, the occasional weird minigame sequence.
Yeah.
And now this last area, where you get the driving sequence, you get the turret sequence.
Yep.
It's an interesting mix. I think if they had just balanced the difficulty of the very final sequence a bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. It was the first game in the series, and they did a pretty damn good job. They just perfected it later.
Yeah, and it wasn't that it's a bad sequence we're coming up to. It's just it needed a checkpoint.
Yeah. Like Sly Cooper 2, you'll notice when we do it, also has some issues, but that's because they drastically change a lot of the gameplay elements.
Yeah.
Like, the core gameplay is the same, and they actually made it really good. Like, it controls wonderfully. But there are a few things, like they introduce this new pickpocket mechanic, and they make you do it all the time. But they cut back on that in Sly 3, which I would say is about as close to perfection as this series probably will ever get.
Yeah. Well, no matter what you have, it's going to have issues. It just depends on how big the issue and how easy it is to overlook it.
Yeah, definitely. And these games are good enough that you can overlook almost anything.
Yeah.
Because the things that you're overlooking are very small.
Yeah. I mean, there are points that are nuisances, but every game has nuisance points.
Right.
And the thing about nuisance points is they're either points in the game where it's just not your thing, or it's the game wanted to do something its engine is not good with.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Like, sequences that would be good in a different kind of game.
Right. Because, yeah, this game and this series in general just have a whole wide, disparate type of gameplay that go on in the various mini-games. And they weren't built, like, the game wasn't built around those mini-games, they're just kind of added on.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, some of them do feel a little janky.
Well, I think the other problem is, this is something that some games get, is that their developers fall in love with a bad idea.
Oh yeah, there's that too. They don't kill their babies, so to speak.
Yeah, for all you kids out there listening that don't know the phrase "kill your babies," it's something that's brought up a lot in creative endeavors. And it basically means you get an idea that you absolutely love that doesn't work with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And no matter how good of an idea it is, no matter how much you love it, if it doesn't work with what you're doing, it will be better without it.
Yeah, you should drop it at some point. Maybe save it for later, something else. But yeah, if it doesn't work, bad idea, just don't use it.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, the difference between the greats and the mediocres, where you have something that's really off-tone mixed in.
Yeah.
Like...
A lot of RPGs do that, actually.
Yeah. Well, the other trouble is the more space you have to work with, the easier it is to think it's okay to put this in.
Yeah, that's true too. Probably
like,
why RPGs do it.
Yeah. Because when you have, like... When you're planning for 60 plus hours of content, it is so easy to go, well, there's time, whatever.
Right.
Or when you're writing a novel. Think about how many novels you've read where there's this really weird sequence that comes in out of the blue, it doesn't do anything, and then it's gone.
And it has no bearing on the rest of the story, yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things. It's one of those things where the person's like, I don't need to cut it down. The tighter something is, the harder it is to sneak in little things like that.
Right.
Like,
you know, like fighting lava monsters while trying to break more computers than them.
Yeah. Well, think about a game like Portal, the original Portal game.
Oh god, yeah. Everybody brings that up as like perfection just wrapped into a small package, and I can see why.
It's not perfect. It has its own problems.
Yeah.
But it's a game that pretty much everyone has played. It's something where you can safely bring it up and expect people have played it.
Yep.
And it does so many things very well.
Yeah.
It doesn't separate gameplay from narration. It lets you play the narration. Everything works with everything else to one degree or another. And it's short.
Yeah.
It's tight. It's very compact.
Yes.
It doesn't dick around. And there are so many games that just dick around with things. That's the worst thing of 13. It dicks around with everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
Careful, Sly. Those tiles are booby-trapped. You better get out of there.
Hold on. That's Carmelita.
I do like
She was
this,
trapped.
like most of this ending sequence. Just starting from this point onward, it's actually like
We've got to free her.
exactly what an end game should be.
Yeah.
Except maybe the final boss, because that kind of throws in one of those other you've never seen this before sort of elements, but
This is my
like-
biggest gripe with most Final Fantasy games, where the final boss comes out of nowhere.
yeah.
Like, you have the real villain, the person who you spent the game the franchise fighting, or the game fighting. It's like, this is the person who you have your gripe with, and then you deal with that, and then there's some other fucker that shows up.
Yeah, well, to be fair with this game, you actually know, well, you at least know the silhouette of this guy from the very beginning, so it's not like it comes completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, you at least see the guy.
Yep.
And the other cool thing about this whole sequence is it's mixing together a lot of the techniques you've found throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like any of them are just shoehorned in. It feels like, okay, natural progression.
Yeah. Yep, and they actually do well building on this storyline about Clockwork in the sequel. Like, the general conceit of the game, which this isn't really a spoiler, so I'll just say it. General conceit of the game is that you're collecting his parts because they were scattered all over the place.
So it's kind of like Castlevania 2.
Yeah, it's actually a lot like that, except done well. But anyway, so you learn a lot more about him in that game, and he's still not a terribly compelling character, but in learning about him, you learn more about Sly and his family, which is always a nice way to use a one-dimensional villain.
Yeah. Well, when you have villains, they're characters or they're props.
I should have known you were behind this.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I'm here to rescue you.
And this is upcoming one of the sequences where there were a lot of retries because it's not an easy sequence.
Yeah.
Empathy has always been the downfall of the Cooper
But
clan.
I knew this was
Yeah, like we talked about this a lot in the Dust playthrough, and we beat that dead horse into
Yeah.
glue.
Yeah.
before Sly's brain is turned to
As long as prop characters are fine, as long as they're not your main character,
Right.
you just need to understand how to use them. And by the way, obligatory hacking!
Yes. I do love the way they portray hacking in the Sly Cooper series. Like
Oh
they
my
just
God.
go whole hog, and hacking is just like a video game.
I just realized I never showed you hacking.
Oh yeah, I guess that doesn't sound familiar.
Fuck, we need to show you. I need to show you that right when we're done here.
Okay,
Like
sounds
the
good.
second
And
this
we're
is
close.
over, I'm sending you that clip.
Yep, sounds good.
Because goddamn it, that's one of the best parts of that movie. Yeah. People probably recognized what I just said. Yep, there's your first failure. I
Yep.
cut out the rest.
All right, thank you.
So here's a successful run. There was like
Yeah.
2 or 3 others. Corrections Fox may or may not put in the exact number if he feels like digging through the old video footage.
I can't imagine he would care,
Yeah,
but we'll see.
we'll see. He's probably insulting me right now.
Yeah, I mean that's what he's good at.
Yeah. He rarely gets an opportunity to insult you because you keep your damn mouth shut. Fucking pansy. Anyway,
No, it's just because you're always talking.
this is true. I don't shut my damn mouth long enough for you two. I will say this, when you do actually get into story mode and you do actually start telling stories, back when I was doing my really shitty audio editing, it was one of my favorite points. It's like, I don't have to stop every 3 seconds to fuck with this.
Hooray!
I can stop for like a whole minute and then fuck with it. I apologize to everyone for that shitty audio. I
It
had no idea
probably
what I was
won't
doing.
happen again.
Well, no, because now I understand how A, compression works, and B, how filters work.
Right. That's
So
why
I
it
won't-
probably won't happen again.
No, I can
only
guarantee
say
you.
probably because I don't like to make definitive statements because I'm a fucking pansy, like you said.
Yeah. No, I can guarantee you. I'm never going back to how I was editing the audio before, because the shitty way of doing it, it takes for fucking ever.
And it's not very good.
No, it's not. So it sounds like crap, and it takes... Okay, good, you had the horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes hours to do it, and it sounds like crap, so fuck
Yep.
it. I'm never doing it again.
Hooray!
The channel will end before I have to do that again.
I'm the best. No code can stand before me.
Yeah.
Oh, Bentley.
Yeah, Humbug's watching clips from the Gurren Lagann movie when we're done.
Oh. Oh.
I was wrong.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen the series.
Okay, so the movies do the thing that a lot of anime movies will always do one of 3 things. They will either pull the like shonen series route, like the Dragon Ball movies, the Naruto movies, and the Bleach movies,
Yeah.
where it's here's a side story. Here's all the characters being the characters in this one, like we made up this story and pulled it out of our ass. Fans will argue for years as to when in the canon this takes place.
Okay.
Those are garbage. They're
Uh-huh.
popcorn. They're fluff.
Yes.
Then you have the recap movies where it's just we're gonna take what happened in the series and compress it down to like an hour or 2.
Yeah.
And then you have the extension movies where it's like here's what happened after the series.
Okay.
The Gurren Lagann movies are the compression style, but they do it in an interesting way because they change some things.
It's been in my family for generations.
Usually making things more dramatic and over the top.
Okay.
Like the end, it's 2 movies, and each movie is like a half of the series.
Okay.
To give you an idea of the level they work on, in the first half, all of the generals except for the monkey, they fight at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So the scorpion, the bird, and the mole, they fight simultaneously. And Viral gets a copy of the giant gunman the monkey used.
Uh-huh.
And all 4 of them do what they look like they were supposed to do in the series and combine into a super mega gunman.
Okay.
And they have to fight that.
I
And
am
that's the climax of the
glad-
movie.
Yeah, I'm glad that, oh, I guess you didn't cut out everything. But yeah, I'm glad they went over the top, like, even more so, because, Gurren Lagann is just all about being pure passion and emotion.
Yeah. And like in the second movie, like it gets to the fight with the Anti-Spiral and the Tengen Toppa. And the Tengen Toppa loses and breaks apart.
Oh.
And then everyone gets Tengen Toppa versions of their mechs.
Oh my god.
Everyone. Like, Viral busts out the Tengen Toppa version of his original mech.
That's beautiful.
And it's like a fucking Hindu deity and has like 100 goddamn arms. And Yoko gets like a full body mech that has like galaxy-sized boob missiles.
Of course it does.
And like everyone gets it, and then those combine, and that's the new climax of the film.
Yeah, that's pretty fantastic.
The Dai Tengen Toppa.
Oh my god.
So it's like, okay, have you not seen the series? It's worth checking out. Do you not have time for 26 episodes of Awesome? Just check out the movies then. It gives you the story. Have you already seen the series?
Nice job.
Do you want more of that? Do you want the badass version of this already badass story? Go check out the movies.
Yeah.
You get the insane versions of this story. Are you wondering how the fuck that story gets more insane? Go check out the movies. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah. I guess I'll do that at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, also, I should mention, I think this should be the final boss of the game.
Yeah.
Like, because this takes every skill that you've learned throughout the game and puts it to the limit.
Yeah, I love levels like this.
Yeah.
I love the levels where it's, hey, everything you've been mastering, go.
Exactly, yeah. That's the way a final boss should work.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, some final sequence before you defeat the bad guy.
Yeah. Well, like, when you get down to it, video games are a lot like how our education system works, where the levels are teaching you something. The levels should be designed so that you're learning a skill. And then the boss or the final sequence is the test. It's like, have you mastered this skill?
Right. There's actually a word for that specific way of doing things. It's called scaffolding in the education world, which you could probably guess why it's called that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is pretty much exactly what you said. It's teaching you a skill and then making you push your limit a little bit more with that skill, and then it teaches you something new. And you just keep on going, and eventually you're going to reach a certain point.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a good analogy to make it, or to say it's like a test.
Well, granted, I'm not privy to how these design works, but the way I've always seen it is they come up with something like this first and work backwards from that. Like, what's the most awesome thing and the most cool thing we can do with this skill set?
Yeah.
All right, what skills do we need to make this work? Okay, let's work backwards from that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What things do we need to teach them, and how should we sparse this out? Again, I'm not privy to how a lot of these are made, and I should actually go read more documents on like interviews and developer diaries and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I've always seen stuff like this.
Yeah, that would make sense to do it that way. I wonder how many people actually do it that way, though.
Well, it makes sense either direction you come from, whether it's, hey, what's the most awesome level we can make, and then work backwards from there?
Yeah.
Or what are the skills we've come up with, and we think these individual skills are fun, and then what's the most interesting level we can build with these pieces?
Yeah. Yay! Completed that part.
Yup.
That is a really intense section.
Yeah, I could tell just by watching it.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, which just looked painful.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those you wait until the boss is vulnerable things and then you hit its weak point things.
Yeah.
And I guess they do sort of make the last part of this back into use all the skills you have, but it's just not as epic as that last part is.
Well, the trouble there is time to reiteration. Or time of iteration. I forget the exact phrasing of it. Corrections Fox will catch it.
Yeah.
But that final sequence at the end of this is pretty intense, and there's a lot of points of failure.
Yeah.
And if you fuck it up, you have to start the whole boss fight over again.
Yeah, which is obnoxious.
Yeah, it undercuts a lot of the tension of that, and it makes it more of a pain in the ass than anything else.
Yeah, because you have to redo everything you already mastered.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a reason that I was able to just fucking wreck him on my first try, which I think we're watching right now.
Yeah.
And that's because I did it so many times in my first playthrough.
Yeah.
Because I just had that down by muscle memory, even though it had been a couple months since I last played it.
Yeah. Like, I think the worst for me was Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne.
Oh, yeah?
And that was because I was an idiot and decided to go for the secret ending on my first run. And Lucifer is not a joke. He is hard. And he's one of those secret boss fights where it's like, okay, you did the normal final boss, now with no time to heal, go do the secret final boss.
Yeah.
It took me like 17 tries, and by the end, I had the final boss down to the point where I would end at full health.
Oh my god, yeah.
If you hated the Cooper so much, why
and
did
just,
you let me live
oh
and
my
restore
god.
the devious raccoonus?
Oh my god, that fucking fight. And that game has Dante from Devil May Cry in it for some stupid reason. And they advertised featuring Dante from the Devil May Cry series,
Yeah.
which became a meme in of its own right. And he is useless in that fight. Because you need to juggle so many buffs and debuffs that everyone needs to be on either buff or healing duty.
And he doesn't have any of those.
He doesn't have any buffs, and his only debuff is Taunt,
Oh god.
which you do not want to raise Lucifer's attack power.
Yeah.
So after like the 10th time, I was just sitting there like, video game, give me one of the normal endings. I don't want the secret ending anymore.
Yeah.
But you're locked in.
Oh,
There's
God.
nothing you can do about it.
So it's like Cave Story if you decide to go to hell.
Yeah. So it was my own dumbass fault. I eventually did it, and I eventually beat the secret ending in my like normal first run, as opposed to getting one of the normal endings first. But yeah, that reminds me a lot of this, where it's like, if you fuck it up, if you trip at the finish line, you have to run the whole goddamn race again.
Yeah.
Compare that to something like Meat Boy, where time to iteration is never more than like a minute,
Right.
as opposed to this mess, where Corrections
Yeah.
Fox is going to jump in and tell me exactly what the time to iteration is to try that intense puzzle platform sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And because of how he's shooting shit at you, it's basically puzzle platforming on a time limit.
Yeah. And here we go.
Yep, here's your first failure.
Got to get to his head.
Yeah, everyone watching, I'm not kidding. It took us a half an hour to beat this.
Yeah. Many,
Because-
many tries.
He would get here and something would kill him. Like
Yeah,
that.
because I didn't know how those things homed in on you.
Yeah.
And so it took me a long time to realize that. And then, yeah, this happened.
Yup.
Oh, I hope you don't show the whole thing.
I show the whole final fight, which in hindsight I should have cut.
Yeah. Oh well, whatever,
Oh, well.
I guess.
Yeah.
We can talk about things and it still doesn't take all that long.
Yeah, no. It's not
But-
the longest boss fight, but it's long enough that doing it more than, say, twice is agonizing.
Yeah. So actually this will probably work because it'll show exactly what we're talking about without stressing the point way too much.
Yeah.
Because yeah, we have to go through this
Yeah.
2 times, although
Every-
obviously I destroyed him much faster this time.
Yeah, every
At least in
goddamn
that part.
time.
Yep.
And this is something I will go look up when I'm editing this. And Corrections Fox will say exactly how many tries it took.
Yeah.
Because all I remember is the time limit. Because, again, we pulled a 3-day weekend and we just recorded everything in a couple of sittings.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a marathon setting.
Yeah, and it was like 8 hours or so each.
Yeah. So at the end of this, we were dead.
Yeah.
We were so dead tired, and you were so done with this.
Oh yeah.
And this was a sequence where I couldn't help because I've never had hands-on with this game aside from a couple
you
driving
weren't
sequences.
used to this boss, and you have to be used to this boss.
Yeah.
Yep.
My intellect is
You'll notice that I have a golden horseshoe. That's actually a good indicator beyond the correction fox time of how much time we spent on this motherfucker, like how many continues we had to use and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I don't get hit after this because I have everything down. Or if I do get hit, it was just a stupid slip up because I was dead tired.
Yeah. Yeah, but down he goes, back in that lake of lava.
Yep.
Now, I will say this. This sequence is cool. It's really sad that it's completely undermined by the fact you have to go through that entire boss fight just to get to it.
Yeah, if you fail, this is undermined. Yeah, you'll notice I jumped kind of forward and diagonally so that it would miss me. The lightning thing would miss me.
And there are so many points where you can just completely cock it up.
Yep.
lay. Feet together.
I do love how he just says these weird-ass lines. Oh yeah, at this point I'm like, don't fail, don't fail, don't fail.
Immortal.
Yeah.
Sequence 7.
Well, it's good that he stopped shooting you at this point.
Yes, definitely. Okay, here we go.
Direct energy.
And at least they don't actually make him do anything that can hit you. You just go up there and you beat the shit out of his face, and it's fucking satisfying.
Yeah.
It took some tricky.
All right, we get the ending cutscene, and that's Sly
Hooray.
Cooper.
Yeah. Like, as
Uh,
much as we bitched about this last part, it's a really good game.
Yeah, it's not a very long game, but it's a very solid game.
Yes.
And this is something I do love about little collectible whatevers that pad out gameplay. Is if the game is this short and it's a full price game, then yeah, I would want something.
Yeah.
I know this
To go
Yeah, the
and-
game felt a lot longer. I actually, one of the reasons I was going to collect bottles, or some of the bottles at the beginning, was because I thought we probably wouldn't get it done that weekend. Because I had previously collected all the bottles, and it was a long game.
Yeah.
But nope, that's what made it the long game. I think it probably doubles the time if you're going through trying to find everything.
Yeah, same thing goes with Dust, going back and 100%ing it.
Yeah.
Looks like we're not going to be friends anymore.
Also, this sequence is the fucking best.
Okay.
Let's keep quiet.
Yeah.
We're back to playing cops and robbers. I thought for sure she was going to slap the handcuffs on me right then and there. But instead, she was true to her word and gave me that 10-second head start. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
I love this
2,
so much.
1.
It's so great.
I felt bad leaving her stranded on a
That's
giant
like their
rock,
dynamic
but
in
I
a
knew it wouldn't be
nutshell.
long before we'd see each other again.
Yeah, this does a lot with the characters.
Oh yeah.
This is
It's a
something
very
that-
character-driven series.
Yeah, this is something I do enjoy, and it's somebody who finds a way to mix characterizing moments with instructionary dialogue.
Yes.
Because you get Bentley explaining how things work, and you also get Bentley's character at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah, you can hear him coming through just saying, I don't know if we should do this, and Sly's like, yeah, what could go wrong? Well, all right, fine, you're supposed to do this, but I don't think you have a very good chance. That kind of thing.
Or moments where it's like, you don't want to touch that, Sly. Why? Still kill me? Also that, but it's filthy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Because that line really reminds me of my favorite line out of the first Portal game, which, again, is a master of the characterization through expository dialogue. And it's, if you make contact with the water below, you will receive a permanent mark on your record, followed by death.
Yes.
It's like, that says so much in so few words. I love it.
Priorities are important.
See, this is something a lot of young writers.
Wait. Quility. Qulity. Quility assurance. I
Good
don't
job.
know if that was done on purpose, but it was ironic and hilarious.
Yeah, good job. You guys did
Yep.
your job great.
Yeah, wonderful.
Good Quility. This is a Quility game.
Yep,
Yeah, I think that's almost the end of it. Yep.
I believe so.
We have a few. Oh, right. You were
Yeah, I was dicking around with the. I think there was a cutscene, like an anime cutscene or
Yeah.
something.
Well, there's the stinger, and then there's the anime cutscene, so we got a little
Yeah.
bit of time.
The stinger doesn't mean a whole lot, by the way.
I love Murray's scream.
Yeah, good old Murray. He gets some pretty good characterization later, too.
Yeah.
But the Thievius Raccoonus isn't fully restored.
And won't
You're
be
gonna
in
have
that
to go
file.
back and unlock
Yo.
all the vaults to find the pages you're missing.
Nah, we don't need it.
There is some good news, though. A friend of mine in Japan just sent me this really cool movie. And guess what? It's all about us.
Yeah.
いやー危なかったまカルマリータちゃんには悪いけど今回も俺様たちの勝ちだ
Oh, it is unfortunate that this got artifacted like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
あれはまだ俺が子供の頃
Yeah,
よく父ちゃんと
it's only this cutscene too.
Mm-hmm.
俺様の
Jesus
一族は
Christ,
Well,
look how bad
I
that
think
came
it's
out.
supposed to be.
そして受け継がれた技を
I actually think it's supposed to be that way because, like, it's them watching it on a screen.
Maybe.
I could be totally full of shit, of course. Corrections Fox will get me on that one for sure.
Yeah. If it isn't, I apologize. I don't know how to set my thing to not do it this way.
Yeah. You can watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
ところが俺様が秘伝書を受け継ぐことになっ
Because if it's supposed to be this way, it's not clear it's supposed to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
俺を守ろうとした父ちゃんは
It's just the opening cutscene done in anime. It's
Yup.
beautiful.
大切なラクーナの秘伝書を確か俺様の全てを奪い
That's so fucking Conan.
中に書かれた技を使って悪いことをしでかすに違いねえそして俺様は一人ぼっち町の孤児院に入っただがここで素晴らしい仲間に出会ったんだ天才発明家頼れる相棒ベントそしてまあ食いしん坊でちょっと
Just like my Japanese animes.
仲間と一緒に俺様は父ちゃんの敵を討ちそして秘伝書を取り返すクーパーの名前に恥じない
She looks so fucking dynamic.
Yeah.
ことも失敗して
Oh, there's the Lupin shot.
Awesome.
さあ俺様たちの運命はどっちだ
Fuck you, Moon. Why is the moon so fucking huge in Japan?
Because they're closer to it.
I
Duh.
guess. Well, that's Sly Cooper.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoy.
Hope you did, because we're probably going to do another one.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.